Enjoying the show? You can help others find it and enjoy it too by giving us a 5-star rating or review. If you feel like reaching out to us with a question or comment, you can send us an email at mywifetherd@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit our website at mywifethedietitian.com, as well as our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Season 4 of My Wife the Dietitian, a fun, evidence-based weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy living. On today's show, we're looking at how plant-based diets affect fertility. If you're thinking about making babies, you might want to stick around for this episode. Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Rob.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good.
Good. Today I want to talk about a question from a client.
Okay.
I've been vegan for a few years and would like to get pregnant. Any nutrition advice or nutrients of concern?
Oh, okay. Is that an issue that she's vegan?
Well, we can talk about it because, it could be, depending on many things. But I've seen people that start eating more omnivore, like including eggs, including dairy, after they've been vegan, starting to reintroduce different foods, and it helps.
It helps what?
It helps
like fertility. Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, I'm curious to hear the facts.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting scenario, and it's pretty common, I think. I mean, we did it. Our second episode ever was my vegetarian preteen daughter. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people in our society are plant-based or going vegetarian or even vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do it with clear intention and aware of nutrition and certain nutrients of concern, you could get into trouble if you're trying to become pregnant or if you want to maximize your fertility.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, we also did an episode with Scott Fickerson on vegan for runners and discussed some of these issues with him. And he's an athlete. So again, the nutritional requirements in an athlete may be higher than in a sedentary person.
Right. Exactly.
And so, can you do it being vegan, not having animal products?
All right. I'm curious to hear more about it.
Yeah. Well,
let me just explain why. Because my understanding is with these different ways of eating, well, I won't call it a diet necessarily because it's not about weight loss. It's about a different way of eating. So I didn't want to confuse it by saying diet. But if you're vegan or vegetarian and you're eating that way, I was under the assumption that you're still getting everything you need. You're just getting it in a different form. Like you're still getting your protein, you're still getting your vitamins and nutrients, but they're coming from a different source than from meat. So you're saying that because they're coming from a different source, it could potentially cause issues with fertility?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah. And when you said meat, we're talking about animal-based foods. So it might not be meat. It could be dairy. It could be egg.
Right.
Fish. Different foods that aren't just meat.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So let's start with vitamin A.
Okay.
Okay. We've talked about on our skin health episode, skin health, collagen, immune system. So vitamin A is really important.
Especially if you're Canadian. That's the Canadian.
Canadian
vitamin A.
We're talking about A, the letter A.
Do you take vitamin A? I
H.
take some vitamins A.
So I'll explain a little bit. So Vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin, and it's important for eye and skin health. That's why we talked about it already on that. And for vision, it's the one that they supplement in third world countries because there's a lot of blindness in children.
Oh, okay.
It's really important for a strong immune system and healthy reproduction.
And where do we get vitamin A from?
Where do we get vitamin A from?
I can't remember.
So
vitamin A is a precursor for beta carotene. I know that. So does it mean it's in carrots?
good. That's exactly what we want to discuss.
Okay.
Okay. So some people do not have the enzyme that helps convert vitamin A to beta carotene or beta carotene to vitamin A.
Okay. Is that the way it goes, or they help each other?
So have you heard of retinol?
Mm-hmm.
That's the usable form of vitamin A for our body.
Okay.
Okay. And vitamin A the retinol is a preformed active vitamin A, and they are in animal products, not plant products.
Oh, okay.
So fish, liver, eggs, dairy, those have retinol, the preformed vitamin A.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And beta carotene is an antioxidant found in certain fruits and vegetables that are orange and red in color. That's why we say eat your orange color every day.
Right. Okay.
To get the beta carotene, and it can be converted to preformed vitamin A in the body to help with the biological functions that we talked about that are, to support healthy immune system, vision, and reproductive health.
Right. But it's different than what you get from the meat and the dairy and the eggs and all that.
Right. Yeah. So individuals, like 2 in 5 people in the population have a risk variant. And we know this with the nutrigenomics, and they've done research. And people that have the GG version of this gene, so the gene is a BCMO1 gene, which stands for beta carotene monooxygenase 1, so BCMO1. It's an enzyme that plays a key role in the conversion of beta carotene into the active form of vitamin A. So beta carotene is a plant form of vitamin A. So vegans, vegetarians, omnivores get, beta carotene from orange fruits and vegetables.
Right.
So individuals who possess the GG version, which is the risk variant of this gene, are inefficient at converting beta carotene into the active form of vitamin A.
Okay.
So these individuals, that 2 in 5 people so almost half, need to ensure they're consuming adequate amounts of vitamin A, particularly preformed vitamin A, which are the animal sources.
Because they can't convert the plant-based source.
Yes.
I see.
Yes,
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. So interesting, because if you think, I don't know if you've ever seen anyone who, was drinking a lot of carrot juice and, just trying to get a lot of beta carotene and vitamin A, and their palms started turning orange,
right?
Or their skin started turning orange a little bit. It's probably because they
can't convert that beta carotene into the vitamin A.
Exactly. Their body builds up the carotene, and it affects the skin pigmentation.
And if they're vegan or vegetarian, then they don't get it from those, meat or non-vegetarian sources. If you're
vegan, you're not getting it from dairy, from eggs, from liver. You're not getting the retinol, the preformed vitamin A.
Gotcha.
So it's a concern, definitely. And there may be an indication for supplementation, like with cod liver oil. I mean, if you're vegan, you might not eat cod liver oil. So again, it's hard to get that vitamin A.
Right, right.
So that is a nutrient of concern for someone who is vegan.
And how does that relate to fertility again?
It's vitamin A is key for our mucous membranes. So it's the moisturizing nutrient that keeps your skin and mucous membranes. So the slick tissue that lines the eyes, nose, mouth, throat, and other areas, vagina and rectum, and it keeps them smooth and supple. And so vitamin A is it's the vision vitamin, as I mentioned already, but it is really important for fertility.
Okay.
And for your immune system. So the retinol, as I mentioned, like the vitamin A, Basically, you're getting the preformed vitamin A, the kind that the nutrient that your body can use right away.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that would be something to consider if you're vegan and you're looking at fertility and wanting to get pregnant in the future.
And sorry, what would be something to consider?
The fact that you're not getting preformed vitamin A, because the only sources of that are animal sources.
I see. Right. So what's the option then to like start introducing animal-based supplements or start eating eggs and cheese again? Or
okay. I mean, that's the thing. I have seen people who have been vegan for years and then start to introduce some of these foods that are animal based, like slowly, and it helps their fertility and their chances of pregnancy.
Yeah.
So it helps increase their uterine lining. They're just getting different types of nutrients that we don't necessarily get in plant foods.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Okay.
So it's just be aware, is kind of what you're saying, right? If you're vegan or vegetarian, these are some things to be potentially aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And what I see too in my practice is people that are vegan or, and this isn't across the board, but some of the time I see that it's a way for them to control their food intake and to control their calories and maybe a little bit of disordered eating or history of that. Mm-hmm. So that, with this, they're, eliminating cholesterol. There's no cholesterol in a vegan diet. They're, controlling the amount of calories, their protein, their fat. Mm-hmm. So this to them is a little bit of a comfort because then they know that, well, if I'm eating vegan, then I won't be getting too many calories or too much fat.
Right. Yeah, I would think there's a fine line with the disordered eating element. Yeah, it's a tricky one, but I can see how that would factor in.
Yeah, I mean, it is a source of control, right, with what we eat. Mm-hmm. So if you put those guardrails on, okay, I'm vegan, then that really limits the options, mm-hmm. or it cuts out whole groups.
Yeah, but it makes it kind of a safe label too, or an accepted label, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's where it gets a bit fuzzy.
It does. Yeah. Absolutely. And the thing is, fertility, I mean, we want our body to be healthy, right? Because it's kind of like if you're going to plant a garden and you want those seeds to grow, you have to have healthy soil.
Mm-hmm, true.
And if your body's not optimally healthy and you don't have that thick uterine lining every month, and there's, you need healthy sperm and healthy egg. Mm-hmm. So all these things to consider if fertility is in your future. Right.
It's not in mine, but it's
in many people.
Yeah.
Many people, and many listeners, many mm-hmm. clients I see. I do groups all the time. Of course, hopefully you're done with your fertility.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm long done.
Okay. Yeah. So what's another important nutrient? I mean, this might be a multi-series because there's a lot to talk about here.
I had a feeling there might be.
Yeah. But another one that is kind of obvious that we really talked about on the preteen vegetarian, and it's a nutrient of concern, especially for women because they have their monthly period.
Iron.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
You got it. Yeah. So that's another one. I mean, if their ferritin level is low, that's the measure of iron in the blood, or their hemoglobin's low. So there's a few with the hemoglobin. It could be B12, iron, but let's talk about iron.
All right.
So where do we find iron in our diet?
Well, definitely from meat, seafood, mm-hmm. green leafy vegetables, mm-hmm. Nuts and seeds. Maybe? So
yeah, there's two types of iron. We did an episode on iron. There's heme
and non-heme.
And what's the difference?
Well, one comes from a plant and one comes from not from a plant, from an animal source, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Heme, like hemoglobin, mm-hmm. it's like animal based.
Right.
heme iron. Non-heme is non-animal based.
Right.
So that's the difference. So iron is a big concern, and it's a nutrient of concern. In many vegans that I talk to, iron is a problem.
And it's because heme iron is like more powerful or something, like you're getting more of it. I'm just trying to remember what the difference was.
Yeah, bioavailability. It's way easier for our body to absorb. Because
there are, like you said, there's non-heme iron sources for vegans and vegetarians to get, but they need to eat like bucket loads of whatever spinach or whatever it is to get the same amount that you get from a meat source.
Yeah. So we get it more readily from animal foods. So meat, chicken, fish, not necessarily dairy, because there's a lot of calcium in dairy, and that's a good source of calcium for people. But calcium and iron kind of interact in terms of our absorption. So if someone's taking an iron supplement, they wouldn't recommend them to take it with a glass of milk or to take it with something that's high in calcium, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So what should they take it with?
Take their iron? Mm-hmm. So remember
Well, this is a trick question for you. I was just going to see if you'd catch that, because don't you want to take it with vitamin C to help the iron absorb better?
Yeah, okay. Exactly. And some pharmacists actually will let the customer know when they're picking up their iron from. Sometimes it's prescription. Mm-hmm. Generally, you can't buy iron off the shelf. Like you have to ask the pharmacist for it.
Oh, really?
Because it could be potentially like poisonous for kids, or, you don't want too much iron. But if you have anemia and you need iron, then you could take a prenatal vitamin has a high level of iron, but not the same level as a single dose supplement of iron.
Interesting. Okay.
So with the iron supplement, if you're taking that, then you take it with a source of vitamin C, or you could take it with an actual chewable vitamin C, like 500 milligrams,
right.
Or with meals, when you have, say, like lasagna, for instance, is a iron-rich meal. Because, do you know why?
Because of the meat and the tomatoes.
Right. And the noodles.
Oh, okay. The noodles too?
Yeah, the noodles have non-heme iron, but they have some iron.
Okay.
The meat has iron, and the sauce is a good source of vitamin C.
Which helps you absorb the iron and everything.
Exactly. Okay, so in the gut, it gives the environment so your body can absorb that iron more readily.
Interesting, hey?
Yeah, especially if there's an animal food in there, because that helps your body absorb it too. It's kind of like a confounding factor.
Right.
Yeah, so iron is another one, a nutrient of concern for someone who's vegan, who's looking to get pregnant. So another one would be, have you heard of choline?
I have, yeah. That's from eggs, isn't it?
Eggs are one of the best sources of choline in our diet.
Yolk, the egg yolk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also liver, organ meats. There's a few plant sources of choline.
Okay. I don't remember them, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Edamame beans, like the green, those
right.
edamame. They have some choline. Yeah, chicken breast, ground beef, shiitake mushrooms, baked potato actually has some
really?
choline. Yeah, kidney beans, wheat germ. Wheat germ's a good source.
Nice. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and again, if you have a risk variant of low choline, so if you know what your nutrigenomics, and you find that like 3 in 5 people have a risk variant for having low levels of choline. So they don't convert.
Right. Okay.
The enzyme responsible for folate metabolism.
3 in 5?
3 people in 5. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So there's a gene called MTHFD1 and also PEMT. and they encode an enzyme responsible for folate metabolism. So that's where you've probably heard of methylfolate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And choline is part of, it plays numerous roles in the body, and it's needed for the production of acetylcholine, which is really important for the development of the baby's neural tube and for the brain and the nerves. And it's also important for memory, mood, muscle control. So it's actually, choline's found in all cells of the body, and it's a vital structural component to cell membranes. So it really has an impact on early brain development, and also it regulates the function of genes and how they're expressed. So some choline is produced by the body, but also we need dietary sources to help meet our needs. And so this is one like that, we get in eggs is a good source, and the chicken breast, the ground beef, fish like cod. But
so animal sources, in other words.
Yeah, but we can get a little bit in plant sources like the soybeans, as I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and mushrooms and baked potato, wheat germ, kidney beans. So choline, we've talked about iron and vitamin A, but also vitamin D is key.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a lot from the sun, like especially in summer. We get it if we're not totally covering up and wearing sunscreen. But vitamin D we get in eggs, like egg yolk, with the egg yolk, organ meats, liver. So that's another one, a nutrient of concern that a lot of people do supplement with. And you'd have to consider that if your diet's like inadequate.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Vitamin D is a big one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then zinc. I mean, that's really important. It's key for fertility. You've probably heard that in the past. We've talked about that many times with sperm and other fertility. So that's another one that animal sources is a good, easy way to get zinc.
Right,
like seafood and beef.
All the goodies.
Yeah. And it's good for the immune system too. It helps block viruses from getting in the cells. So
really?
It's really important. When you have a cold, sometimes you take an extra zinc just to help, fortify yourself kind of. But also, selenium is a really important antioxidant that's a micronutrient, and it helps in the reaction with glutathione oxidase dismutase, which is a long word, I know.
It sure is. Wow. I don't know why they don't come up with easier words.
That's right. Yeah. So selenium is, that's one that you can get in Brazil nuts and tuna. And that's one that's also in multivitamins and a prenatal too. But just things to be aware of. Also, B12 is a big one. Vitamin B12.
Right.
Because it only comes from animal sources.
So why can't you just take a supplement for all this stuff?
You could, but it's something to be aware of if you are vegan and you're trying to get pregnant, because as I said about the garden, like you want your body to be healthy. And if you're relying on supplements for a lot of your nutrition, you're missing out on other things, right? So like what about protein? Because, B12 comes from, foods that are high in animal protein, like, clams are a good source of B12 or oysters, herring are really good. You can get some from nutritional yeast. So some vegans use that on their popcorn. Also fortified plant-based beverages have a little bit, but again, if you're struggling to get these things in, it might be worth looking at, maybe if I want to have a healthy pregnancy and get pregnant, you might need to look at starting to reintroduce like some of these animal foods like eggs or fish, maybe even, different supplements that come from, cod liver oil or collagen or.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We could probably come back to this another time and discuss more of the nutrition, but those are the key nutrients of concern that I wanted to talk about for vegans who are looking at their own fertility.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. It's good tips as always. If you're looking for more information, more tips, more great resources for your nutrition and your overall health, visit our website. It's mywifethedietitian.com. It's a great blog on there. Lots of different information, different articles written, different people contributing, different guests that have written for us. We've got all sorts of stuff on there. So that's a wealth of information. We've also got a weekly newsletter you can sign up for. It's free to join. Click the link on the website. You can sign up for that. It's lots of great tips and recipes and all sorts of things in the newsletter as well. If you have a specific question you'd like to ask, feel free to email us. You can reach us at mywifetherd@gmail.com. We love to answer listeners' questions and usually turn it into an episode. So don't be shy. Let us know what you're thinking. You can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Feel free to reach out to us there as well. And if you're liking the show, let us know. Love to hear your feedback. Love to hear your thoughts, ideas, anything like that you want to share with us. We'd love to hear. You can usually find a spot on your podcast player to rate and review the show. That's a great way to share your feedback with us. So whatever you're thinking, please share with us. And speaking of sharing, share with a friend. Your friends want to know too. If you found a great show, let them know. And we would appreciate it as well. So that is it for this episode. We will be back on Wednesday with Nutrition Nuggets. So until then, have a fantastic week, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.